Today we're going to be making a drawing called an explorer drawing. And so you're going to need your white paper, a pencil to begin with, a black marker, crayons, and washable colorful markers. So in this explorer drawing, we're going to be creating the parts of the picture plane. So the first part of the picture plane is the foreground, and the foreground is at the bottom of the paper. And this area of the paper is where things appear to be closer to the viewer. And then the other part of the papers to know are the middle ground. So we have foreground at the bottom, middle ground, where things appear to get a little bit smaller and farther away, and the background. So now look with me as we make the explorer drawing. You're going to start with pencil, and I am using marker to trace, which will be your second step, but so that you can see it well on camera, I'm going to go ahead and start tracing. So you're starting with an oval shape for the explorer's head. It can be a boy or a girl. And then we will add the shoulder. So you're going to do two curved lines coming down from the explorer's oval head. And I made that head, a good 2 finger widths tall. So make sure that you do that, and it's not right in the center, it's more over toward the left side of the paper. And then as you curve the shoulders down, go ahead and add the length of the arms, and then the sleeves, the cuffs at the bottom. And we are going to add the backpack. So draw a long rectangle where the person's back is holding it. 2 shoulder straps going up toward those curves for the shoulders. And next we're going to make a long rectangle from side to side, and another one at the bottom. And in between, we're going to do some zigzag lines, which will represent like a bungee cord. And then 2 long pockets on the sides where you could put a water bottle. From there, go ahead and bring in 2 curved lines to represent the hands. We're not going to do detailed fingers right now. And then for the pants, we're going to come down from the bottom of where the space between the arms and the backpack is. Draw a curved line and then slightly curved in and down. Same thing on the other side. This right leg is going to be slightly higher up on your picture because we want it to look like the explorer is stepping forward. We're going to do the other side of each leg with kind of a very wavy A shape down the middle. Finish off the pants at the bottom. You could go ahead and put cuffs for the bottom of the pants. Finally, for the hiking shoes, we're going to draw a curved line at the bottom of the pants, and then a curved line kind of pointing in the direction that we're going. Same thing on the other side. Curved lines, and then maybe like a little curved line to show where the shoe can bend at the toe. And then you can add some lines for the hair. This is up to you. If it's a boy, you could add a hat if you would like. If it's a girl, you can choose either straight, long hair, short hair, wavy hair. I'm going to do some wavy lines to represent wavy or curly hair. We'll go back and add color, but this is our outline for right now. Next, it's time to draw our landscape. So I like to go hiking in the mountains. You can do whatever kind of landscape you would like. It could be a flatter desert scene. You could be, on a trail leading to the ocean where you would have the sky and the horizon line where the ocean starts. Or you can do something similar to what I'm doing. So I'm going to start just above the hiker on the left side of the paper, and I'm going to draw my first mountain, kind of an exaggerated curved shape up. And then I'm going to draw another one that is slightly different, maybe a little bit shorter, and let it go off the other side of the paper. The next thing we're going to do is create just the land or some kind of hills going across at the base of the mountains. And I'm going to do one more of those sort of below the pants level that's in the middle ground, and one more in the foreground. Now it's time for the trail. So we want the trail to be big in the foreground to invite the viewer to come into this picture. So I'm going to start it from the left corner a little bit higher, maybe 3 or 4 finger widths from the bottom left corner. Take it between the 2 legs so that we're not crossing into the legs, which would not be realistic. And then the other line in the foreground will be up from the bottom edge of the paper. You can decide how wide you want it, but you want it to be wider and then get narrower as it goes up to the middle ground, which is where I put this smaller landscape or sort of hill line. Now, in order to make my trail look as if it went over a mountain and maybe is meandering, I'm going to scoot the second part of the trail over and make it go narrower as it goes up into the taller part of the hill that's from middle ground up to the background. So now it has movement. We want our trail to have movement and not just be a straight line. So now it's time to add some details. So I'm going to put an evergreen tree. Things that are in the foreground are bigger, so this tree is going to be fairly large in proportion to the person that I have drawn. And then I'm going to add one here in the background. And remember, in the background, things are a bit smaller. So even though it's a large tree, possibly, it's going to look smaller and in the distance than the one in the foreground. And then finally, I'm going to add directional signs, signposts. So I'm going to do 2 vertical lines, and then at the top I'm going to put an arrow, a wide kind of arrow, and then one more. You could put 3 or 4. I'm just going to stick to 2 for right now. And you could write any kind of directional words on your sign that you like. So now it's time to color. So you're going to choose your color scheme, and I have chosen light blue for the sky. So with crayons, I'm going to go ahead and add the sky color. Now you can use a variety of colors. You could even do a sunrise or a sunset, in which case you might be thinking about colors like oranges, pinks, purples, reds, and those kinds of skies are really beautiful. But I'm going to keep it a sky blue. It's a clear blue sky afternoon in my Explorer drawing. And remember, the more you go over it with your crayon, the darker it will get, and you'll fill in those little white areas. So I'm not coloring through my mountains because I'm going to do those a different color. So I'm going to color in between the mountains for now. And when you're coloring, it's good if you can notice the direction that you're coloring. And also I've wrinkled my paper there, so to avoid that, you can hold it down with one finger. But as far as the direction, it looks neater when you're coloring to go in a consistent direction rather than scribbling back and forth. Unless you're trying to create a lot of texture, but for a sky, you want this to be a bit smooth. Okay, for the mountains, I'm going to start with a medium green because it's still summertime and I want my hills and mountains to be green. This is called Granny Smith apple green, but yours may just simply say green. Now I'm gonna shift to another green in just a minute to give it a little more variety. Variety is a principle of design in art, which just means difference. And a lot of times artists will use multiple shades of a similar color, but when you switch to another shade of that color, it creates interest. So like I'm switching to this lighter green just for variety and interest. And you can take your time and you can blend those colors. It's okay if they overlap. Again, mountains can have different colors. There might be some brown or some gray, black. If you want snow-capped mountains, you could leave the tops white to show that snow, or do some kind of interesting design on your mountain. It's totally up to you. You don't have to do exactly what I'm doing because you're the artist. You can make some creative decisions of your very own. And we're going to use a combination of markers. So for this tree, I'm going to use a marker. There's one tree. Same thing with the bigger tree that's in the foreground. So we're creating an illusion of depth on a two-dimensional piece of paper. So by making things in the foreground a little bit larger and then diminishing the size of things in the middle ground to the background, it gives the illusion of 3 dimensions or depth. Same thing with markers, is you want to color in a consistent direction because you can actually see the strokes of the marker that you're coloring with. So, I mean, you can go different directions, but be careful to smooth it out, unless, again, you're trying to create a specific texture. Okay, so I have my 2 trees, and I'm gonna color the pants next. I think I wanna use the dark blue, again, for variety. So even though the pants are blue and the sky's blue, I'm going with a darker denim color for variety. What color will the pants of your explorer be? And what color will the shirt be? It's totally up to you. I know some people would like to do camouflage, so maybe you would use some greens and some browns in their clothing. I think I'm gonna do a purple shirt. You can do any color shirt you would like. And any color backpack you would like. It's probably best to do a little bit different color on each clothing piece that you're working on, so that everything doesn't end up being the same color. So I think I'll do a red backpack. Maybe these rectangles are kind of like reflectors if you want them to be. So maybe they could be a bright, oops, overboard, different color. So I'll make those bright yellowish orange. And for the skin, it's totally up to you. I'm going to use this tan color. On the hands, and then what color hair should you choose? I am going to use and you could do a combination of colors in the hair as well for depth. Keep in mind how it stands out from the surrounding, because you want the person in the foreground to stand out from the background. So if your background is green and blue, you may not want to use those same colors on the person. So I'm using yet another shade of green on the middle ground. Remember to always take good care of your art supplies. You do have to press down a little bit on crayons, and unfortunately sometimes they break, but I've learned that if you kind of hold it in the middle and on its side like I'm doing, it helps, well, it helps you color, and it keeps the crayon from breaking as easily. So I like how I've got 3 different shades of green. But you may be doing an ocean in which you'd be doing a variety of blues and maybe a little green. Or you may be doing the desert, or maybe snowy scene. So you would choose the appropriate colors for the scene that you are exploring. So now, as you can see, I'm coloring more into the foreground area. And you could add details like pebbles, rocks, flowers, smaller trees. You could add anything else in there that you would like. Just a little bit more to do, and then the trail. But you can take your time. you may be using the bigger crayons, which they cover the space quicker, so you're fortunate if you're using those big crayons. These smaller crayons are great. They just take a little while longer. So the trail and the sign are two of my last things to do. So I'm going to use either tan or brown. Because the trail most likely will be made of dirt or pebbles. Have you ever been on a trail that they used recycled materials? Those are kind of cool. One of my favorite hiking trails is in the Kings Mountain Battleground, or it is the Battleground, and they use recycled materials on their trail, which is pretty cool. The Broad River Trail and the South Mountain Trail and other trails are usually kind of gravel, combination of gravel and dirt and rocks and stones. Okay, so I finished the trail. For the sign, I think I am going to use brown marker for the post. I'm still thinking of the words I want to put, so for now I'm just going to color my post, and then I can decide, do I want to call this Big Bear Trail or what? You know, that's up to you. Okay, that is the basic Explorer drawing. Again, you can go in and add some more details, little pebbles, little flowers would be really cool. Maybe some moss. Just give it some texture. I'm using sort of a stippling technique to give the trail a little bit of texture. Okay, I hope you enjoyed the Explorer drawing. And you can go ahead and add your details. I'll do the same and show you how it turned out.